All right, so getting into our next topic, that's
Yeah.
a good segue because we've also now, as stylists, we have to deal with overprocessed hair culture. And there are
Yeah.
so many she damaged my hair stories. I can't even tell you. I'm just going to play one for us and then we'll weigh in.
I'm coming to you with the nightmare hair salon story, and why I'm wearing a bonnet today because I just haven't gotten the courage to take it off yet. Yesterday I went in for a 10 a.m. appointment for a balayage, something that I already had. I'm gonna green screen a picture of what my hair looked like before. Okay, this was actually me at puppy yoga the other day. What a cute activity. Look at the little puppies. But you can see my hair. I have blonde around my face. My hair was beautiful. This was perfect. The only thing I wanted was a little bit more lightness. Because as you can see in like my claw clip, there's some dark. So I submitted a photo of my hair after I got it done the first time when I made the appointment. And I said, this looks great. I would just want balayage. I just want a little more blonde in it. It's perfect. I had to touch up my money pieces. They're a little grown out. You probably can't see it's a 0.5, but that's all I wanted, okay? This is a photo, and while you can't see the timestamp on this, my lawyer will be able to. This is at 1:36 p.m., excuse me. So if we're generous on the assumption that the bleach hit my head, the first bleach hit my head at 10:30 in the morning, that's 3 hours later. So now I'm sure you can see where this is going. This is a screenshot of a video I took of me pulling my hair out in clumps at 3:20. So this was, again, if we're being exceedingly generous with the time when the bleach went on my hair, we're looking at 5 hours, okay? So a few things are extremely important to note here. When my hairstylist was asking me what I wanted, and I said balayage, a student hair person had come over at that point, and she said, we're doing a highlight, and I said, no, we're doing a balayage. I wanted to be able to grow out naturally. The point where my color started before, I was very clear that's where I wanted it to start today. That's important because not only is my hair burnt off, but it also looks ugly as shit, the hair that's left on my head, okay? So she was checking my foils. She did not have another client. Every time she checked my foils, she checked them 3 times. She kept saying, 20 more minutes. I asked, is it going to damage my hair? And she said, no, because there's no heat on it. Well, I've seen a lot of Brad Mondo, so I didn't quite believe that. Here are some screenshots of my search history. Again, I'm not super confident on the technical terms, but that's at 1:12 p.m. And Google said no, by the way. She'd also told me she used 20 volume developer. I was like, maybe that's a different answer. Also, only 35 minutes, okay? Never 4.5 hours. So we then went to the bowl to, rinse the bleach out, and I ran my hand through my hair, and my hair started coming out in clumps, as you can imagine, because bleach sat on it for 4 hours. This is the first photo I took because I could see all this broken hair in the bowl. And let me be very clear, I am aware what my hair feels like. I live with it every single day, okay? When I ran my hand through and pulled a chunk out, one chunk was this long. When I was going through the ends here, it was all 2 to 3 inches long, and it was forming gummy balls in my hand. I am well aware that that is burnt hair. I am more than confident that that is hair that it's been completely fried. And both my hairstylist and another hairstylist sitting right there, when I sat up and said, why is my hair coming out in clumps, tears in my eyes, I'm already crying, they said that I was being dramatic, and it was because they hadn't conditioned my hair yet, and it was normal shedding. We both know that's not normal shedding. I said I've had this done multiple times. I'm aware what normal shedding looks like. My hair sheds every day. If it was shedding, it wouldn't be little gummy clumps. And they again told me that I was being dramatic and asked if I wanted some tissues. That part was said nicely, but still. It was not until I started taking pictures of the hair coming out and videos, which I guess I can't green screen here, but I took a video of a giant clump coming out. Then both of my hairstylists walked away with bleach still in my head, okay? Still in my head. We're pushing 340 by now. They came back and said that they had called the owner.
And then let me show you what this looks like. She goes into this. Okay.
Not what I ever asked for. So to tone it, they began combing through it. And it broke. My hair completely, it broke. Another problem with this is, again, I've told you what I asked. I submitted a photo of what I asked for. This I let her blow dry my hair because she asked.
So I can give you multiple stories like that. So with that said, the rising. Go ahead.
Well, I didn't get to actually see the quality of her hair afterwards to see if she's just talking shit or if she's.
No,
my hairstylist.
She's not. I'll show you. So this is her after.
My hair is cooked. I went in with very healthy hair. I'm very proud of my hair. It's come a very long way. I take very good care of it. It's hay. I've never felt my hair this dry, this brittle, this broken. If I just kind of go like this, little pieces of hair come out. So I'm very upset right now. I'm hot and bothered. When I was leaving, I asked the manager if we could talk outside, and she was very kind, and I do appreciate it.
You see the quality of her hair?
I mean, you can definitely see the breakage of around here. Obviously, on a hairline, never ever leave anything on a hairline more than 45 minutes. That's always why I foil the hairline last. That's always why I teach people about that, because it's a completely different structure of hair. If you only have one client starting at 10:30 in the morning and be rinsing out at 3:40 in the afternoon, like there's a problem there.
Yeah, and this is why I think clients are losing faith in us, because these viral moments, there are more of those now than there are good moments. And I'm like, I don't know exactly what's happening, because I don't believe that there are that many people getting their hair jacked up compared to beautiful services. You know what I mean? But this has taken off, and I know we know that clients can be dramatic. They're talking to their audience. They're trying to get their numbers up, maybe. Who knows, right?
They're dramatic too. Like I had a girl the other day, and she was a level 9, and we put foils in her hair. She wanted it to be an ashy blonde. I toned it with 10A, 10P, and guess what happened? It broke her base a little bit. Oh, you can see my cat's like trying to come through. She had a little bit of a base break, okay? Because there's a little bit of ammonia in that toner, right? So like I put her color on, right? But then when I went to tone her, it broke her base a little bit, right? And I
Okay.
mean, this is a common thing in somebody who's a level 9. It's like your base is going to shift pretty easily. It had never happened to her before with this toner, but I'm like, crazy things can happen with hair all the time, right? And so she had a beautiful, cool blonde, and her tone was shifted, like, her natural, but it's such a heavy density that it kind of just looked like a creamy vanilla color, right?
Mhm.
This girl is crying. This girl is like, it's purple next to orange. It's purple, and you're like, that's not true. That's not even
Mm.
close to the colors that it was. But you watch them be so dramatic, or if you ever like actually accidentally leave some warmth in their hair and they're like, I look like Ronald McDonald. They get so dramatic.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I think that they have to they have to do that. They have to over exaggerate what they're saying for us to like fix it or change it. It's like, honey, it's okay. You don't have to hurt my feelings, because at the end of the day, it is still my art. Because it is still my work. I'm gonna fix it. I'm not gonna just abandon you here. I will say that like it does. That's one of my biggest pet peeves, is if somebody's like exaggerates intensely something like that to get a point across.
Yeah, I think in the video, I do believe she has a legitimate concern. I think that her hair, I mean, she tracked her whole experience. I mean, unfortunately, just like for police officers, we have cameras now and videos. I think we have gotten a little lazy as stylists. I really do. And I think part of this damaged hair culture is the fact that we've been learning online. We learn hair now online and not in person. And I think the clients think they're catching up to us almost, because they're watching the exact same thing. And I also think they're too involved. It's like you shouldn't be calling anything. You don't know what you're talking about half the time. Bring in your inspo
No,
picture.
I could still do a balayage and a foil. I typically tend to, especially if you want more blonde and you don't want like a blended 2 or 3 lift. Balayage is a French word that means to sweep. That's open air painting. So when she says she wants to be blonde from how dark she was, she's not correct in saying like, no, I asked for a balayage. So that does get
Exactly.
when they're
Exactly.
they think that they're the professional in the situation, but at the same time, that is wild work to start at 10:30 in the morning on one client, just for one, for a couple pops on the bottom, to her still rinsing out at 3:40 in the afternoon. But I also think as hairstylists, we also have this culture of like, it takes however long it takes, sis. And I'm so over that. Like I saw a guy the other day and he was like, here's a balayage that took me 8 hours. And there were over 1,000 comments of, this is so great. Whatever time you take is the time you take. And I underneath it was like, how much did she pay for this? And he was like, $400. And I was like, and you're in a commission-based salon? And he said, yes. And I said, is $200 a day going to pay your bills for the 4 days of the week you're working? And he said, no. And I said, the compliments that people are giving you are nice and kind for someone starting out, but there is no reality where that client comes back to you every 12 weeks, taking an entire day off of work to sit in your chair. That's crazy.
Exactly.
The 10:30 to 3:40 when we're rinsing out, that's a whole business day for one client. How are you neglecting it? How are you not pulling foils at different times? But again, we're only getting this girl's point of view. We're not getting the whole story. Granted, it is blonde and then it is dark. So for that
and broken.
do.
It literally is broken.
Well, I'll also say there was a part in her delivery. I don't know if I misheard what she said, but I could have heard a student did her hair.
She did say a student came in.
I'll say like in the least shadiest way. Personally, I feel like people who visited me in Cosmo School were brave. Cause like, like, why are you getting your highlights done at Cosmo School? Like, girl, go to a salon, please.
Right.
Well, and I think she was at a salon, but maybe an assistant. She's calling an assistant a student.
But, and I will say, I mean, the breakage was undeniable. It was almost like there was miscommunication and a technique was not present.
That's why they all need the Colorist Blueprint. They need to go back to
I was all you said everybody's getting education online. I'm like, no, they're getting free social media advice. You're not getting because my online education in the technical blueprint, the middle part, there is multiple sections of drills for this exact situation at hand. You need to be able to get a full highlight done in an hour and 15 minutes. You have to. You cannot do this like start here, get to here for an hour and 15 minutes and let it process. That's 2 hours back here. If they're coming every 4 weeks for a full highlight, within like 6 months, this is all breakage. Back around here. And so it's so important that as hairstylists, they take this continuing education. They don't just watch these videos and think, oh, hey, I know how to do that because I saw something famous. Give me a little piece of it. It's the same with these tip outs. Everybody's tipping out the ends or like back combing the shit out of people's hair. And I'm like, why do you need to back comb 47 times and create something this big?
Yeah.
And then you're making fun of them for being tender-headed when you're brushing them out in the bowl. I'm tender-headed. Watching some of these hairstylists roll their eyes and be like, wow, she's mad that I was yanking at her hair the whole time. And I'm like, I would physically be in tears if somebody was doing that to me. So,
and don't you think like with the teasing along with the product that now the hair is, it's already compromised, right? Because you have product and the teasing. So you can't, there is no world where you yank with bleach.
I don't know why I keep using this reference, but I wanted to touch both sides of the coin just because I feel like I have slightly the responsibility to answer it like this way. I'm only 2 years into my career. So like the mentioning of like what she did, how long she was even processing bleach in her hair is obviously like ridiculous. And to mention like the breakage and how like she might leave the salon with her hair, but in like 3 to 6 months with a routine like this, it's going to be right here. And even me as a color stylist, like I think sometimes the word like blonde specialist slips out because you're like, oh, you're trying to present something of yourself, right? You want to like be this beacon or this sense of trust that people have. And then you see yourself, you're like, oh my God, like there's breakage. And you have to like realize, hey, maybe what I'm doing isn't working. I personally feel like that has a lot to also do with the environment you're in. Because if you're around people who are cutting corners or if they're doing things the lazy way, like my biggest pet peeve, and I've only seen a few people do this, it's honestly why like sometimes salon suites make me nervous, is like I see a stylist that uses like, I'm gonna say it, like I've seen professional stylists using like bleach from Sally's or like like Schwarzkopf bleach and Sally's developer. I'm like, no, babe. Especially with Schwarzkopf, what are you doing? That's like the strongest bleach on the market, and you're literally just painting it in these people's hair.
And it's all about profit margin today.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm glad you brought up those points, Jordan, because, as the professionals, we really do, as much as clients whine and complain. And yeah, of course, nobody wants to hear that, right? Especially they don't want it to go viral all over TikTok. While at the same time, it wasn't this way before. So there is something happening out there that we have to acknowledge that is actually happening. People are walking around with damaged hair. I get it in my salon, and they're like, yeah, the person who did my hair broke all of my hair off. Why is that happening? I guess is the conversation here. Is it lack of education? Is it I don't have enough time? I'm a slow foiler. I lost it. I have assistants half doing it, me half doing it. What is it?
I feel like they all work together, like lack of education and then like you're slow. Or because you have a lack of education, you are slow, you don't know what you're doing. Like recently for me, I've seen like in the last 2 weeks, I've had 2 or 3 people come in for fixes, color and styling. And when I talk to these people, like thank God they leave happy, because I'm like, you're already unhappy with what you have. To take this to a place where you're happy, where's this bridge? We got to find it. But it's always the same thing as like, I feel like they didn't listen to me. I feel like they didn't hear what I had to say. I feel like they just knew better. Like this one guy, it's not truly color, but just to kind of highlight the education side of it. Her guy got sick, just dropped her. He never, and who knows where this gentleman is, I don't know what happened to him. So I have nothing to say. But she went to some random salon and she asked for a trim on her bob. And this lady gave her like a graduated bob. And not just a graduated bob, it was like a concaved graduated bob. It was
not
so
the Karen.
crazy. Yeah,
she got a Karen.
It was like a Karen cut her hair. It was not good. And that's nothing, the lady's so beautiful, but she just kept saying the words like I felt like I wasn't heard. And then she also was someone who I feel like we don't talk enough about in this industry, is like sometimes I'm like scared to say it, but some women prefer male artists. Like it doesn't matter
there
what the
is
work
that.
quality is.
You're sitting here with 2 women, Jordan.
I
that,
roll
right?
so hard on that. I'm not gonna drag you to filth because I'm a nice person, but
well, let me tell you, I really try to put my work where my mouth is. I do not.
Oh no, I'm with you. I cannot tell you how many times in my 13 years of a career a woman has said to me, well, men just know how to do it better. And I'm like, really? That man with short fucking hair who's never had to style his own long hair in his life, who doesn't have curly hair, who doesn't have fine texture hair, because he has a penis, he's so much better than me at doing your hair. Somebody who also has curly fine hair exactly like yours, Sharon.
Girl, I tell them I'm like, not to be condescending, because you've had hair longer than me forever. But this is what I do, where I'm like, I'm a boy letting you know my boy perspective.
No, I love it, Jordan. But you know what, Jordan? You get
I'm saying women do feel that way. It's misogynistic, and it's a huge issue in our industry when women are 99% of the labor. But when you look, who are the faces of the industry? Vidal Sassoon, Paul Mitchell. It's
Tony and Guy.
Man after man after man. Half the time it's a straight man who just looked at a model back in the day and said, Pixie. Yeah. And everybody went, oh my God, he's a visionary. He's a genius. Look at him and his penis. Like, it's
you are hilarious. And Jordan, I was going to say, you, my love, you get the best of both worlds, because gay men, you have the man body, but you can kiki, you know what I mean, and say whatever you want.
Oh, we have a good time. I tell girls, I'm like, gay men can call women like ugly, and
Oh
like they
yeah.
laugh. They're like,
They could, yeah, bitch. Yeah, they
yeah,
could call you anything and put bitch at the end, and they're like,
yeah.
kiki. I'm like, really? What if I said that?
I
No,
know.
but
It's like it's so funny.
that is so true. They really do.
But I
And
saw that
women.
even in Cosmo School, like my teachers
Oh
were
yeah.
like, it made me kind of mad, I have to admit, because they're like, oh, he's just gonna have it easier because he's a guy. I'm like, hold on, girl. My curls do look better, but like, I'm gonna let you have this one right now. Because I
You're like,
literally,
but so you're saying you don't want to take away, you don't want this to pad your artistry, the fact
yeah,
that you're a
well,
man. Yeah.
because like
Oh,
I was
I
just
feel so
diving
bad.
down the rabbit hole, like I wanted to know, I wanted to be able to have something to say on these topics. In this video, in the midst, like the algorithm, I felt like the algorithm wanted me to see it. It was a very well-known hair artist, and she was just pissed. And this other artist, like he has a back history that I don't know enough of. I also saw the surface of the story, and I was like, I just don't want to divulge right now.
Oh, I
Like
know
he
what
has,
you're talking about now.
yeah. And
I
the
don't.
only part that really got me in her words, it was like, if you want to tear him down because of whatever, like that's
Because
not my
he's a
business.
predator. Because he's a
Yeah.
predator. If you don't know the whole story, this probably isn't a realm you want to slide into.
Well, no, the thing that I want to realm into is the fact that I think it's so easy to like talk on this one person, and then she kind of just brought it down to like, oh, men have it easier. And I'm like, now I feel like we're off topic when you're talking about this person you don't trust, or like there's an issue with him. Now you're talking about men on a whole scale. I want
Well,
to
that's the
represent.
baby with the bathwater. You throw everything out, right?
Yeah.
One person can take the whole team down. So I don't know this story. I mean, you guys will have to fill me in later.
No, but the whole point is I just want to be able to represent a different side of that, because that's not what I aspire to be. And I also don't aspire to be successful because I'm a man in a woman dominated industry. So that's why I segue into that. It's not my business because I'm not educated in the story, but I do think like it's very easy to be
That's my
mad.
point. Well, I don't know what he did. He was a predator. Like it was bad. And it was well
Oh.
documented. And he was one of the heads of one of the big companies. And he used to teach on the main stage. And he was the face of their company. And his wife left him, and the company abandoned him because he was a predator. And
Oh.
we can talk about the rest of this later, but he made one of those trending videos where it goes, nobody says how hard it is to go from this, and it's him on the main stage, to this, and it's him like as a TSA bag boy now.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
so what she did is she came out and she said, and whose fault is that? And
Yeah.
whose fault is that you don't have that job anymore? You
Is
were
that the wife or an ex-girlfriend or a client?
She was another face of the company.
Got you.
She said, I'm leaving this company if you don't. I will
Oh.
not be a face of this next to him. So they
Mm.
dropped him. And so he made that. So she came back out and she said, whose fault is it that you aren't up here with us anymore? Whose fault is it? Because there were thousands and thousands of people underneath it going, we're so proud of you by pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. We're so proud that
Oh.
like, I mean, thousands of people praising him, saying how much they love him, and she's upset because she's like, you guys, why does this country normalize men abusing women? You
Mhm.
get success on the backs of women. You, for some reason, always get to be the face of the company, the head of the salon. You get to be the owner, and it's always women performing that labor. And for some reason, every culture is like, well, like, and no other trade gets treated the way we do, right? If you go to book a wedding, did the photographer say, no, we're going to do it by photo, by person? No. Does the catering, do the cake company, does the building, everything is a set price. But if a hairstylist says my day rate is $1,200, what? What?
Yeah.
Why isn't it $65 a head like it was in 2002?
True.
We get treated differently than everybody else gets treated. Our trade isn't respected. Our trade isn't considered a labor job. And the reason for that is because it is 99% for the girls, gays, and theys. It's a patriarchy. It's bullshit. And that's why I get heated in situations like this, because I'm sorry, Jordan, but you're giving a little not all men to us right now when you're saying, but it's not me. I don't want to be represented that way. But the reality is that like our whole lives, especially somebody who's been doing this for 14 years and watching men whose, I'm sorry, curls weren't as good as mine, going right over me for a promotion, a guy who doesn't show up early, doesn't stay late, and he's getting credited on a photo shoot that I worked 300 hours more on. He showed up day of, styled some hair, and his name is the one in the magazine when I was behind the scenes coloring for 300 hours to make those 5 images come alive. And so it's a lot different when you're like, well, women just like men to do their hair. Women just,
Yeah.
it does feel a little bit crunchy to me only because of what I've been through and what I've seen, because I did start out under the global style director of one of these major brands, and I was treated like crap by him. And he really did see success. He made so much money off of me, and he literally took my art and took credit for it. And so I do feel a way. If you can't tell, my cheeks are getting red, guys. I'm getting and I don't mean to yell at you, and I don't want you to think that I'm like, in a pejorative way, like, but it is frustrating to hear something like that being like, well, we have it tough too right now. And I do agree with that. And in the era
Well,
of like,
I wouldn't say, well, I don't want to miscommunicate, but I don't think I have it tough too. Those are the things, like, that's what spiraled into my dive when I was looking at a lot of these things. And it made me feel away because I was like, whenever men are in like represented in the industry, it's always extreme, but it's a good or a bad. I don't know, the way I've been seeing things on social media, mostly just because I'm a hermit crab, it's just always good or bad.
Yeah, you're saying there's no middle?
It almost made me feel grouped in there because I'm a male in this industry. I think that was my point.
No, I
Like,
know
well,
what you're
damn.
saying. And I will add to that, and again, not to make it about race because I don't generalize racism, but it does apply here as an example because some things are just what they are. And as frustrated as we are and can be and angry, it's not going to matter because they are what they are. Like people look at men differently than they look at women. They just do. If someone sees Jenna and somebody sees me, it's a different experience because that is nothing. Jenna, as a white woman, and Jordan, you didn't ask for this skin tone. Neither did I. We have no control over how we're treated because of it, if that makes sense. And so if you are a man in this industry, and heterosexual women, I'm sorry that if you're a heterosexual woman, you've got a certain energy toward a heterosexual male or a male in general sometimes, right? And unfortunately, some men are dicks and that sucks, and we do as women, we have to work. If I take a black person, you have to work 10 times harder to get one step with the white person, right? And I feel like women are like that in hairdressing. We have to work 20 steps to every one step that a male takes. And I don't know if we're ever going to be able to undo this. I don't.
I think that we're working towards it, but I think that's why it's important that came out and said what she said, because he was trying to garner sympathy and victimhood. I felt really personal to it because as somebody who has worked for people who are at the top, who do treat you that way, who make comments about your body, who say really horrible, obscene things, who have really treated you like crap, used your labor, oftentimes for editorial work, it's completely free. I never got paid a dime for the thousands of hours that I put in, but I also never got my name put in the magazines either. It was always him. And if you said something, he would gaslight you. He was absolutely terrible. And so to see her talking about the fact that he came out and so many people with like what you said, I don't know the whole story, but here's my opinion. And that's kind of where I'm like, no, let's back up, because there is a huge missing piece of the story, and it's the victim's story. And this isn't to just bash, and I don't want it to become that, but I do want to just remember that if we're going to bring up something that is that like coded, that we need to know the whole story behind it, I think is more important than just being like, well, somebody said this and I had a feeling about it. And it's like, if you were personally a victim of that situation, you would have that reaction. This has been a real issue in our industry for a very long time, where, you know, like men at the top who own things really did. I mean, it's getting better now, but that's also a lot of where sweet culture came from. People left these toxic salon environments. We were leaving, you know, somebody making a 60-70% commission. Like for me at the salon I'm talking about, I was making a 10% commission for 5 years. Like I would make that man $3,000 a day and I would walk home with 300. Like it was,
Ew,
oh yeah,
icky.
it was so icky. I hope they changed their structure. But for me and a lot of the people who left there, like we literally have a like support group where we text each other and like talk about it, because
You have
it's
PTSD.
yes, literally from working for somebody who was like just not a good person.
Well, and a lot of people that come from, you know, and I'm gonna say this because this is how we started. People that come from Hair by Chrissy. I know somebody personally, and she just created a video on her experience. She's a successful hairdresser now, but she went on TikTok and talked about what it was like as an employee. You know, unfortunately, when we get bigger than hair itself, I think you do lose perspective. You do lose sight on who and what got you there. And
Yeah.
so that's whether you're a woman or a man. So can you imagine bringing masculine energy into that? I mean,
I
I experienced it at Tony and Guy years ago when I started. You
Yeah.
know, it was male dominated. Tony and Guy themselves are men, the Muscolo brothers, all of them men, obviously they're brothers. The 3 owners of all of the Arizona franchises, 3 men.
Yep.
The top designers, men. It's insane. I had an assistant who my clients respected what he said as far as making a hair change over what I said.
Yep.
Would shampoo hair, and by the time they sit in my chair, even though I've been trying to talk them into a short haircut forever, well, his name was Samuel. Samuel said that I would look really good with my hair short, and they're pulling up their hair. What do you think? Do you think what do I think? Girl, I've been telling you what I thought for a whole year, but thank you, Samuel.
I know.
But it ain't y'all fault, Jordan. It's not. I mean, but what you do with that responsibility is what we have a problem with. You can't take that weight that you carry and be an asshole. That's all we're saying, right?
It's really interesting. There was a study that came out and they were talking about child doctors and them being sued versus being trusted. And what they had said was 97% of the people who were suing, when they had looked at these doctors, it was the way these doctors carried themselves and how they delivered the information.
Mm.
Exactly the same. But 93% of the way you deliver something is what's important versus the 7% of what the words actually are. And I think that men have been trained just from birth, because you're men, especially, you know, if you're a white man, you deliver things with confidence because it was instilled in you, it was given to you, you know, it's your birthright to be a confident man in this world. And I think that we were taught to be more timid and more shy. So it may also not even just be the fact that it's a man, it's the delivery that comes from the confidence of being a man. And that's why some people, I think, gravitate towards like men just know what they're doing better in hairstyling, is because of the way they carry themselves. Even if the hair isn't as good of a quality, but if he is so confident and he is so like, oh, you look so good in this is for you, she's going to love it just because it's somebody, you know, talking to her that way. Whereas a girl's going to be like, do you like it? Do you like what we did here? Do you think this is? Is that enough face framing? Where a guy's gonna be like, honey, slay down. I ate that, you know. Hey man, it's gonna be like, oh sis, you going on a date tonight? And she's gonna be like, yeah, it's like I look.
But even to parlay off of what you were saying, Jenna, even with women, not only are they looking at themselves in the mirror, they're looking at you in the mirror. I mean, let one thing change about me and they're on it. You know what I mean? Did you lose weight? Did you gain weight? Did you did it? You know, they're on it. So they're sizing you up, you know, and looking at themselves. So when you suggest something, depending on what their perception of you is, it's true. I mean, over the years, are you kidding?
Oh yeah, I had a client the other day. I was wearing a back brace, right? Because I'm trying to work on my posture, and I walked into the salon like
She's
this.
looking at your booth.
She goes, "Did you get your tits done?" And I was like, "No, girl, I'm just wearing a back brace." But you're right, they do. She noticed that, and I thought that was crazy.